Actually, the mood has been one of a sense of vindication, as a lot of Pakistani civilian and military leaders have been forecasting that once the United States exits, then it will, I think, leave the field open to the militia, to the Taliban, which has gone, from the south to the north, from the east to the west, capturing one province after the other. So this was very much on the cards. This is like the culmination of the domino effect that American President Joe Biden's July 8th speech has had on the Afghan dynamics once he declared that the American troops would be out of Afghanistan by August the 31st. I think that left very little in the hands of President Ashraf Ghani, and offered a free field to the Taliban, because in that speech, President Biden also declared that there is no terrorism anymore, that the counterterrorism mission is over. So I think this very statement had a domino effect, and this was very much 3 days ago. It became clear that in a couple of days Taliban would be knocking on the doors of Kabul. But one thing is clear, that they, having learned from their past mistakes, this time around they did not indulge in massive fighting. The strategy was very clear: choking the capital from north, south, west, and also requesting the governors and the armies in respective in different provinces to surrender, to join them without offering fight. Because I think what had become very clear to everybody, every single Afghan is fatigued with war. They are desperate to get out of this perennial cycle of violence that has been going on for the past 4 decades. So I think this has come as a big relief also for Pakistan, I would say. I think President Ghani's reticence, his inflexibility, left the Taliban with no choice but to embark on a mission that has now brought them almost to the doors at the center of Kabul, in fact. So this way, I think they probably will get the kind of legitimacy that almost every country had denied them through statements in which they had said that we will not accept any seizure of power by force. So even Pakistan itself had declared that any takeover of Kabul by force would be unacceptable. And in fact, this would be the second legitimization of the Taliban. The first came with the February 2020 peace deal with the United States. That was the major legitimacy that the Taliban got. And this is what annoyed a lot of anti-Taliban forces, both inside Kabul as well as elsewhere. But I think most of them basically failed to see that a militia that had hung on, that had basically put the entire NATO alliance on the defensive in Afghanistan, is a legitimate stakeholder, and that it deserves the kind of attention and respect that the people in Kabul, in India, and elsewhere denied them. So I think the history has moved full circle. They were removed 20 years ago by force, and now they are entering Kabul in a relatively largely peaceful way. Why should he condemn Taliban advances in Afghanistan, while the same Taliban were being engaged by the United States, by Russia, by China in Doha until last night? So this is what the Prime Minister had been advising against, and even many of his predecessors, that the military solution is no solution. Force is no solution to this conflict, and they have to sit together. Now, it's the only problem that arose was the inflexibility of President Ghani. He basically kept his own survival, his own interests above everything else. And this is what he had to see. Probably he should already be out of Kabul, or maybe about to leave Kabul. We hear that former President Hamid Karzai and